Okay, so when you see my screen, do you see your face or do you see my face? It's showing my face, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How do I look through your eyes, Ziga? All right, got it. Because it's different on my side. So, all right, well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm here today with my friend Ziga. How are you today?
Great. Feeling better.
So this is attempt number 3. We actually tried to host this initially on a YouTube live stream, but I couldn't get my friend here on to join me. So it was just me talking to myself, unfortunately, which I do often, but not recording it. And I'm here today in Istanbul. It's a lovely Saturday afternoon here. It feels like summer today, actually. And you're in Slovenia, is that right?
Yeah, not that summerish here.
Well, we actually had a horrid January of weather, so I'm really excited to see the sun coming out again. So we initially connected a few months back when I was in Malaysia, actually, and we connected because you're something of an authority in the Kickstarter and crowdfunding space. And that's how we initially connected, because I do a lot of launches all of the time for myself. Tell me a little bit about how you started in crowdfunding. Like, how long has it been, and what got you started on this path?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I started about how many 9 years ago in 2014, where it was sort of like an accident. Me and a brother of mine, we were working on this board game, and we were just having fun. We never intended it to be like a serious project or anything. But then we sort of put it online, and primarily because we wanted, some other friends, so we could arrange when we are going to play it. But since it was a spin-off of a really popular computer game, a lot of like random people started popping in our Facebook group. We didn't make it private at that time. And they started asking, like, wow, that looks amazing. Where can I buy that? And obviously nobody could, because it was just printed on the paper. And this kind of gave us the initial idea of going to Kickstarter. So yeah, this is when we decided to go. And then like almost a year later, we actually went. And in between, there was like preparation. You got to know that, especially back at that time, depending where you were in the world, but here in Slovenia, there wasn't almost any campaigns. There was, I think, like 1 or 2 campaigns launched before us, and nobody actually knew how to approach Kickstarter or how to launch a project there. There was no knowledge. So what we did was we started calling other random people, that had successful board games on Kickstarter. We called some people from Croatia, from Germany and so forth. And we asked them if we can have a Skype call with them, and we asked them a bunch of questions. And we started, kind of getting an idea of what we need to do to go to Kickstarter. We obviously, at that time, prepared to the best of our abilities. We didn't have like a huge budget. We actually didn't have any budget. So we did most of the things ourselves, or our friends that helped us, create the videos and things like that. And yeah, we launched a campaign, which was successful. We sold about 200 games, which was okay. It wasn't like a huge campaign, but we learned a ton, and all this knowledge I then later on, even further down, I helped other campaigns. I had multiple other campaigns, and I developed it into a couple of things that I know now are like pillars for a successful campaign.
And that's really the first time that you are trying to do anything for the first time. You're making a bunch of mistakes and a lot of things that you have to figure out. A lot of things that you notice in hindsight after the campaign is over, like that's what we should have done. And then that, just like when we do YouTube lives, for example, there's a lot of things to figure out. And so, but that's usually how it is, right? It's not the prettiest type of thing. Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it depends. I mean, some industries, or some, I don't know. Nowadays, there's almost too much knowledge. You can basically get knowledge for any topic, right? You just have to pick up which knowledge is relevant to you and which one will actually help you. But at that time, specifically for Kickstarter, there wasn't a lot of information, a lot of knowledge around it. So yeah, it was a bit different. If I would go again, I would do the whole campaign totally different. So with my knowledge, with my current knowledge, I can't imagine how we actually succeeded, but those were different times. It was you can still do like small projects, and have them successful, but yeah, if you want a really, really successful campaign, then if you don't do a couple of really important steps, just forget about it.
Yeah, I always like to say in my growth hacking presentations, I talk about the knifin framework. Have you heard of that before?
Which one?
The knifin framework.
No.
It's a division of labor into 4 different quadrants. And so you have like simple, complex, complicated, and chaotic work. And simple work might be like driving a bus or farm labor or something like this. And I always like to refer to growth hacking as chaotic type of work. So there isn't really a university or a book or anything like this that can prepare you for what you're trying to do. And what I try to do, and my approach as a growth hacker, and to get the best results online marketing, I am testing a bunch of stuff every day. Like everything is new. I'm trying to improve upon the process and build a process so that I move from the chaotic, realm where I don't know I can't predict what the result will be, to something that's in the complex quadrant of work where, yes, it's complicated, yes, it's complex, but we have a system. We figured out the important leverage points to make this work. And so that's what makes my life a little bit easier, makes my work a little bit more predictable, and makes results repeatable. So I think that initially in your journey, you started out just wanting to launch this project. You had these games and didn't quite know what you were doing, and you learned a lot from the process. And then that was kind of the first step to making you an expert and authority on this subject. And then I assume that you went and I know that you've hosted crowdfunding events and things in your native country, and people kind of came to you looking to you as kind of like an expert on this. So when you launched that first campaign, how much did you guys raise? Like, what was your goal, and how far did you get?
Yeah, we wanted to raise $12,000, and we just raised it. It was a bit over that, but yeah.
Okay, so you did succeed at it, actually.
No. The campaign was successful. I'm just saying, if I would have to repeat the campaign, I think now, with all the knowledge I have now, because we were learning as we were going, at that time, we could raise much more, but yeah, the campaign was successful. I later on, I had a couple of other campaigns as well. Some failed, obviously. A lot of them succeeded, and I was involved to different extents with like over, I don't know, 50 projects for sure. Some just through mentorship, where I mentor them, some through being actively involved, though that was mostly in the beginning. But yeah, overall, I mean, even with our community, we've actually built the largest crowdfunding community here in the region, the whole Balkan and Central European region. We've got all these countries connected through our meetups. And yeah, we helped. There's 3 friends of us that each one of us had like successful crowdfunding campaigns, and we help others now. So yeah, we raised over 70 million in total with all the campaigns. So yeah,
Okay.
it's been an exciting journey, you know.
So you've really dived into the crowdfunding industry, like with both feet,
Well,
right?
lately less. I mean, I'm entrepreneur by heart. I mean, I started my like initial first projects in high school. I was selling like notes for tests. I did like crunch the whole subject into like smaller notes that you could learn from, and I was selling them throughout the school. So that was my first entrepreneur experience, and then later on I started building websites. I'm a bit older generation, so that was like the beginning of internet, dial-up modems and stuff like that. So I've always had different businesses, and I've had some success, I had some failures, and crowdfunding was one of them. I just saw crowdfunding as a great platform where you as a creator can launch a project without much upfront cost, verify the idea, see if there's any traction, and obviously if it is, then you can throw in your hard-earned cash, because if you're gonna throw in all your savings and then at the end of the day see that nobody wants to buy your products, it's gonna feel shitty, to say the least. But if you can validate that at least some people want to buy what you've built, then obviously, yeah, you're gonna get some cash. You're gonna maybe ask your friends, family, went to some investors and go like, okay, I need this much money, I want to launch this thing. There's the potential, I can show it to. These are the people that pre-bought the product or whatever you're doing, and I don't even have it built, right? So
When you tell me about some of the specifics, like when you launched your first campaign,
sure.
what were you doing? And it does take a lot of confidence just to launch a campaign in the first place, because that fear of failure can stop people from actually even making the attempt. And then when they do make the attempt, and this is true in marketing in general, people are hesitant to promote themselves. They feel like there's something icky about marketing. They're worried about spamming people. They're worried about disturbing people. And that's really one of the defining characteristics of an experienced marketer, is they have thick enough skin that they just DGAF. They don't really care about how people are going to perceive them, because they're doing marketing. So when you did this campaign, and I will talk about subsequent campaigns, but how did you get the word out there? Were you just like calling up your friends and family, like saying, hey, this is my project? Or tell me your approach there.
Yeah, amazing question. Yeah, I fully agree. Right now, I've been in marketing for so many years that my skin is a bit thicker. Though I don't think you ever get fully used to it. Like self-promotion, it always feels like a bit weird. But yeah, at that time it was just awful. I had to push it. I had to push through it. It was just like, it was so unnatural to me. It was super hard, so I can imagine that a lot of people see the same thing and go like, oh yeah, that's not for me. And the funny part is that after everything was said and done, after the campaign was finished, and yeah, I'll tell you how I did it. I did it in a bunch of ways. One of them was also, like calling all my friends like at least once to 2 times per week, because obviously you can see who has donated and who hasn't. And I was just reminding them. And at the end, I was like, fuck, I'm such an annoying brat. And at the end of the campaign, I actually asked them, I was like, look guys, sorry, sorry for being a pain in the ass. And they were like, no, sorry, we actually forgot about it every single time. And if you wouldn't remind us, we would never back it, because we got so many things on our plates. And that's when I realized, when you're doing something, you're so into it, right? Did you think that everything revolves around your campaign? But other people have their own lives. They live their own lives and they don't care actually that much about your project, even though they're your friends or family, right? So obviously they're gonna forget, and you're gonna call them, and they'll be in a car driving to their work or somewhere, and they're gonna be like, yeah, sure, I'll do it as soon as I get home. Obviously, when they get home, they forget, right? So it's a perpetual cycle, and if you don't remind them, if you don't keep on pinging them, and that's not just calling and sending emails, the same goes for all other channels as well, like advertising or whatever you're doing. People just don't care, they forget. And yeah, this was a huge learning lesson for me, to not feel bad if I have to like say 10 times to the same person. If they don't wanna, they're gonna tell you. They're gonna like, fuck off, man. I don't wanna back it. I already told you that. Just stop. Okay, at that point, just stop. You don't need to call them anymore. But if they say they will, sorry, just persist.
Try to do it in a way that's not annoying, or it's like, hey, you said you're gonna do this. Like, what the F, man?
Yeah. Be friendly. Obviously, you don't wanna. Okay, you don't wanna tell them, what the fuck, man. Yeah, sorry.
This is an 18 plus.
Yeah. Okay.
But
yeah, be nice about it. Just say, okay, did you manage to, or just you want me to ping you again tomorrow, or do it in a nice way. But again,
one of the I just share one of the most valuable lessons that I've learned. And as I was starting out my online entrepreneurial career, I was back in university, and I was listening to like a lot of interviews, like this guy David D'Angelo. He's like a dating coach. Maybe you've heard of him. And he interviewed this one guy, and he recommended this author called Leah Lowndes, and she's a communications expert, and she's written some books like How to Connect with Anyone and like 96 Tips for Connecting with People. And one of the things I remember from her is like she uses a lot of like positive anchoring, like neuro-linguistic processing. So anytime that someone receives your message, like you want to make them smile somehow. So you could be like giving someone the bird, like saying, hey, F you, buddy, but you say it in a way that, I think Winston Churchill said once that, tact is when you tell someone how to go to hell, so they look forward to the trip, So it's like being excessively polite and being positive, like using positive subject lines, making people feel good when they see your message. And that's kind of like important, especially when you're worried about how you're going to be perceived when you approach people, and not giving them anything that they can take negatively. And for me, it was a valuable lesson as a marketer, especially when you have to follow up with people, twice a week or once a week. If you can be like the light in their day, or the one thing that makes them smile that day, they're going to be more receptive to getting messages from you and backing whatever it is that you're trying to do, or get them to do it. And I think that also helps, you have to be very tactful about how you do this. Maybe even also giving them an easy out if they can't pledge or something, like maybe they can share it with their friends, or refer people to you. So I've done a ton of this outreach over the course of my career, depending on what projects I'm doing. And yeah, so that was one of the most important lessons that I learned when I was around like 22 or 23. And it served me really well, is using that positive anchoring, never like being rude to people, or saying like, hey, you said you were gonna do this, but you didn't. And I find that, as a general rule, following up, if you have a warm lead, you probably want to do that about once a week. That's like not too much, but not too little. And also, if you have a base of clients, a base of customers, or an email list, you want to try to connect with them about 50 times a year. So about once a week is a good meetup for communication, like a cadence for communication. And so that kind of like helps. I find that it helps to have these kind of frameworks, so that I know what I'm doing, like how often I should communicate with these people, like when should I follow up with them? Because a lot of people don't follow up at all, and they leave a lot of opportunities on the table. Like you said, people often forget, they forgot about what it is that you're working on, or your project. It's not the center of the world like it is for you. Well, cool. All right. So what was the
maybe just Sorry, Danny. I fully agree. I mean, I don't know if you know Staley Efti from Close.io. He's an amazing persona, actually, and he said the same. He's in the sales business, and he said, I'm not gonna stop contacting you until you say yes or until you say no. I don't care what you say until you say one of these two words. I'm gonna ping you till the end of the life, and that goes really aligned with what you said. And I've been doing that as well in my market. Sorry.
Don't do this in dating, by the way, or something like.
No.
You're asking someone on a date or something
in
like
sales. But yeah, no. I mean, as soon as you get no, as soon as you go, look, man, I'm not interested. Okay,
Do you think that he actually does ping people until they die? Because I've actually gotten to the point where I appreciate a no up front rather than I'm following up with people. Because I don't want them to give me like a bunch of excuses and I'm still following up with them like 2 months later. It's like a dead lead by that point, right?
I mean, it depends. I actually do it as well, for different reasons. At my job, I'm also a growth manager, so I do customer interviews, and I just keep on pinging the same people until they say either they're not interested in the interview with me, or they say yes. So I have like these automation flows, and this is what I do. And the same when I was selling my services, when I had my own marketing agency, we would keep on sending emails until they said, no, look, man, we don't need your services, and sometimes things happened like after a few months, and if we go back to crowdfunding campaigns usually last around 45 days. They can go, it depends which platform you choose, but they can go a bit longer or shorter. I mean, you could make shorter campaigns, but usually you don't have enough time. But let's say up to 2 months. So for 2 months, you really need to be super persistent. The first few weeks more, in between maybe a bit less, and then at the end, again, you do a big push, and you don't send once per week. You send maybe I don't know. Last week, I would definitely send to some of the friends, at least 3 times if they wouldn't have backed by
and
then.
Just to clarify something, I've studied some of your lessons in our course, the Launch Lab, which is a great course, by the way, and I appreciate what I've learned from you there. In your lessons, I believe that you said that the main way that you push these promotions out or the campaigns out is through email. Is that correct?
Well, yeah. I mean, I find email like the best channel. You can control it. It's yours to own. Once you get somebody's email, it doesn't cost you a lot to send more email to them, right? But it's like what I usually do is I use 6 different channels when preparing for a crowdfunding campaign. I mean, you could imagine a crowdfunding campaign like a product launch, like a go-to-market strategy, just a bit more basic, right? Because you don't need to overcomplicate it, especially at the beginning if you don't have the product and a product market fit yet. So I like to use 6 channels, and one is communities, one is advertising, one is media, PR, if you want to call it. One are influencers, partnerships, and events. And I mean, I can go into details of all of them, but yeah, communities is the one that we've been talking right now, right? So you try to build your community before you launch the campaign, and you can build it on different social networks or through email or whatever. But I would suggest everybody, at the end, before launching the campaign, you try to push as many people from all these channels that you build the community so far to email. And the reason is because everybody knows that try and post something on Facebook, a limited number of people will see it. The same goes for other social media platforms. You're dependent on a third party to show your posts. But with emails, you can send as many as you like. You can send to many people as you like, and it's just an amazing channel.
Okay, interesting. And so in the course, we obviously have close to 45 lessons at the moment. And I think we're adding more soon. You're going to be adding a few more, is that right? There's topics on lessons on all these different topics, like how to do PR, how to do email marketing, how to do social media marketing, building your communities. We have all that stuff in there. So tons of great content in there. But what I wanted to ask you was, let's talk more about email, because you actually have a lesson that you teach in the course about your email backer formula. And I believe that it's kind of like I know that you're recovering from a cold. But
sorry
I want to ask you, tell me a bit more, because I know that in that formula, you have it very scientific. Like I like that you're kind of a left brain person. You're all about the numbers. And you know your numbers, and so you have this formula where, like, if you have $100,000 goal and your average reward price is like $50, you know exactly how many emails you're actually going to need. And I do want to kind of dive into that a little bit more, into the nuances of that. But tell me, like, how do you go about, I guess, building this email list, but also like getting on partnerships with other people's email lists, because I know that's also important. Walk me through how you set this up if you're starting with a client new campaign.
So do you want to talk about first of how to build an email list and then about the formula, or?
Well, I didn't want to give everything away, because I wanted you to have a chance to tell me about it a bit more. But yeah, I guess building the email list, I mean, I have some, I mean, I do a lot of kind of slogging it out with paid advertisements, and I don't want to kind of get into the basics, because I think people know how to build email lists. But right now, as of 2024, I'm getting good return on ad spend by doing like Facebook form ads, and just having people opt in through Facebook and not going to a landing page, because the cost per lead is very, very low if they just opt in directly through Facebook. And so I'm just doing like a free offer, building up my email list, maybe like $5 a day or $10 a day. That's a really good approach for me. But I know that in your email backer formula specifically, you are talking about getting like 10,000 subscribers before you're actually launching the campaign, right?
Okay.
Tell me about the methods that you do with your clients. Like I just gave an example there, and how much realistically, like the budget that you would need to do this. Do you have any like strategies for building a list without paid ads? Any tips here, like for people?
Yeah, sure. Let me just explain why, why the formula came to be. And obviously, before you launch the campaign, you want to know that it's gonna be successful. You want some assurance that, yeah, what I'm doing, it's not for nothing. Obviously, if you're super optimistic, you can convince yourself of that, and then just start working, and whatever happens, happens. But yeah, for me, the biggest question was, can I know upfront, or how can I increase my odds of being successful? Because that's, at the end of the day, that's what you're doing. Nobody can tell you upfront whether or not any campaign is going to be successful, or if your video will go virally on YouTube and so forth. What you want to do is increase the odds of that outcome happening, right? And this formula basically does that. It breaks down all the regular conversions, and gives you an idea on what you need in each individual step, all the way to you receiving the goal amount on Kickstarter that you wanted. And basically how you do it, you work backwards from it. You say, okay, I need 100K, I need 100K for this project to go live, right? And my average reward price, because on Kickstarter you have different rewards, you kind of somehow need to put it in one number. Let's say your average reward price between 5 different rewards, it's $100, right? So you can divide that 100,000 by this 100, and you need to bring 1,000 backers. So 1,000 people on average need to back, $100 for you to have a successful goal. And this is super straightforward, everybody can calculate that. But then you can go one step further and you can say, okay, so I'm talking about the Kickstarter here, but you can apply this formula and modify it for any platform or for any other activity as well. But on Kickstarter, generally on average, about 30% of backers come from the Kickstarter platform itself. The rest you need to bring yourself, right? So those 30% you can throw away. So what you can do is multiply those 1,000 people by 0.7. That's 70%. And now this number is a bit lower, right? And then there's one other specific, most projects that raise 50% or more in the first 2 days are highly likely to be successful. That means, that they might be successful, if they continue on the same path, but might not be if something goes wrong. But now you can also, lower this threshold and go like, okay, cool. I only need 50% of these people in the first 2 days. So you can, again, divide it by 2 or multiply it by 0.5. And now you have like a smaller group of backers that you need. But then comes the email part, right? Conversion rate on Kickstarter is about 1%. So you need to divide these by 0.1. And now, since you're dividing it, this number will obviously be larger. Maybe we can calculate it. I'm not doing it by heart right now, but it's obviously going to be much bigger. And this is the number of people that you need to bring to your Kickstarter page. And obviously, you're not going to bring all of these people from email. You can kind of then decide how many of these people do you assume you're going to bring from advertising, how many from email, and so forth. And let's say, just to simplify, super simplify, let's say that all of these people you want to bring from email. Then what you can do is, if your list is good, if your list, if you are building your list, and people knew what they're signing up, and obviously the list isn't like 2 years old, or 1 year old, it's fresh list. People know that they've signed up for your specific project. They were super excited. Let's say you can get like 5 to 10% conversions from email to the visit of your Kickstarter backer page, right? Now you can, again, increase this number of backers that you need by this number, and you will get the final number of people that, the final number of emails that you want to have. And yeah, this obviously can be not enough if the email list that you were building was shitty, or can be way too much and you will overachieve your goal. So in the second case, obviously you're going to be happy, but it's a guideline, because now once you know that you need, let's say, 10,000 emails to achieve your goal, it's super simple. You can start either doing advertising or lead gen on social media, as you do, or now you can find ways of getting these emails, and then you can see how much it costs you to get one email. And obviously, when I was starting out almost 10 years ago, the costs were super low. Like I'm talking 20 cents per email, or sometimes even lower. Now the numbers are between 1 and 2 €2, $2, whatever you want to whatever currency you use, it's about the same, which is obviously much more. So then you have a bunch of different ways of getting these emails. Obviously, you can pay them through paid advertising, as we discussed now. But if you don't have this initial capital, then you'll have to find other creative ways. And what I found out is that a lot of times you just have to put yourself out there. This is what we've talked before, like different groups of people, especially groups that have the potential buyer, that have a buyer that might buy your product. Those groups are the best, right? It might be LinkedIn groups, it might be Facebook groups, I don't know, Quora, whatever. You gotta find. It's super hard for me to say, just like an abstract where these people reside, because different people, some are on Reddit, some are on other platforms. And once you figure out where your audience is, which obviously, if you're building a product for yourself and you are the buyer, then you should already know that. Then you start, trying to communicate in those groups and get some interest from the people that are there. And then how you convert them to emails, again, it's like we could talk only for the next 1 hour on how to do that. But yeah. These are a couple of ways, through paid or through like specific groups online.
Okay, I do know that, and you're like you said, we could talk about this topic for hours. There's so much I can talk about right now, but I do know that with some of my current with the Facebook form ads, I'm getting leads at about 14 cents per lead. Which is not too much. So with one of the ads, there's about $100 that have been spent and more than 750 emails. So it also depends on how you collect the leads and who you're targeting as well. And I know that at least with one of my growth hacks, and I don't want to, like I said, I don't want to digress too much here. But with Amazon, this was a really successful growth hack that I used, because obviously the first 5 days, 6 days, the first week of any launch, whether it's on Amazon Kindle or Kickstarter, you want to get as much activity on your launch, on your product as possible to get it up the algorithm, to get it promoted on the first page. And this is the same with Amazon. It's the same, getting a #1 bestseller. It's the same with AppSumo. And so one of the growth hacks, I was getting leads for less than 3 cents per click from Facebook. And I was just targeting people like in Philippines, like Nigeria, India, Bangladesh, because these leads were so ridiculously cheap to get these likes and these clicks, and sending them all to my book page during the first 3-4 days of the launch, because Amazon doesn't care where the book download comes from. And so it's just about getting as many downloads as possible. And so I don't know anyone else that was doing this, because most people usually target, US, UK, Australia, and they're probably paying dollars per each click, where I'm paying 3 cents. And so that was just an easy way to get onto the #1, bestseller spot, among other things, was just getting a lot of these free downloads and trying to get as many reviews from my network as possible. So I had a number of different things I was doing to promote my books. But that was such an easy way to just get, thousands of downloads on a small budget, and getting #1 bestseller on the free list, and then 99-cent promotions, getting on the #1 bestseller on the paid list, and then raising the price, and then you're getting all of these people from the platform, from Amazon, checking out your book, which is suddenly surging in popularity.
Your book was free, right?
Yeah, so I do actually, and I do teach this in the Launch Lab course. Maybe you haven't gone through that section yet, but I do have a launch timeline for launching books, actually, and also launching on AppSumo as well. And I don't have time on this webinar to go into everything, but when you do a book launch, and I also talk about crowdfunding books through Publishizer and crowdfunding, but if you're publishing on Amazon, you initially launch for free. You send all of the people in your network who agreed to review the book to go and leave a review. And you can also get professional book reviewers to go and download your book, leave a review. And then you gradually increase the price. So if you go to #1 bestseller on the paid list, as a 99-cent download after like the first week, then your book is like a rising, I don't know the exact terminology, but like kind of like a rising star. And that's when you start to get a lot of traffic from Amazon's platform. And then you can slowly increase the price, $2.99, $4.99, where you're getting 70% royalties, and make a lot of money that way. So I do have that timeline actually mapped out in that section of the course. But what I wanted to ask you, though, if we go back to building this list, and let's talk about the preparation, right? How much, like let's say like your goal is that you need to get like 5,000 email subscribers to hit a $50,000 goal. How much would you budget to do that, and how much time in advance would you spend to build that email list so that it's ready to go for the campaign?
Yeah, great question. It really depends. I've seen so many. No, really, I've seen so many campaigns. What I usually say is that you can have your campaign from 0 to finish in, let's say, the minimum 3 months. So, for example, 2 months of preparation, 1 month of campaign, a bit more, let's say. And I've worked with people that were working on their campaigns for like a year or more, right? So it depends how fast you move, what kind of product you have. The more the product is complex, like IT tech product, usually the longer it takes. If it's super simple, and obviously the budget, right? If you want to raise 50K, or if nowadays a lot of like small individuals go on Kickstarter with like tiny projects, like 5K, 10K. You can launch like and I've seen some people actually making a living out of that. There's this guy that does prints. Like, I think he launches one print, like huge prints, like I don't know, let's say 5 times 5 meters, right? Maybe you can convert that to feet. Really, really huge prints, and he basically launches them every like 1 month or 2 months, and he's got like a bunch of campaigns. But he doesn't want a lot of money. He wants like, I don't know, 5K. So each month 5K. So he's made a process of that, and he can be basically launching every month and just earning out of that. But then you have some other campaigns, that really want to make an impact, have a big project, raise 100K, 200K, whatever. For those you need more time. But to get back to your question, yeah, the most important part is the preparation. And in the preparation phase, you'll see how aligned you are already with your potential buyer. Because if you are unable to generate email lists, that's your first test before you launch the campaign. If you advertise, if you go on these groups, or you try to use different channels, the ones that I mentioned before, and if you're unable to build your list, there's a problem somewhere. Maybe your product is shit. Maybe you cannot communicate the value of your product, so the marketing is shit. Or maybe there's just no interest for that specific solution, right? So, obviously, when you start something, you think that's the greatest thing. So you kind of have to be objective, or you gotta ask somebody, outside of your social circle. And then it depends. If you really, really want to launch this product, then obviously you can pivot and change it and modify it. And maybe you figure out that you cannot communicate well your product, and find a person, a marketer, that will help you communicate it better. And all of this can take time, and it can take, again, longer to start building the list. But if you have a goal of 5K emails, then it's super simple. You start by spending a little bit of money, on advertising. And if you get some traction, and for example, you're getting leads for $5 per email. So obviously that's too much. You're gonna need to spend 25K, no, you said, yeah, 5K, 25K, just to get all the emails, right? To get the goal of 50K. So that's, without any other expenses. If that's acceptable to you, then okay, just throw in 25K and go for it. But otherwise, no, you try and optimize the campaign, try to lower these costs, try to find different channels. And if you see that you're progressing well, that in like 1 week, you went from $5 per lead to, let's say, $3, and then in the next 14 days you went to $2, and it's dropping, and obviously somewhere it's gonna stop. But if you're in the range that it's acceptable to you, just keep on doing that, and then it depends on the budget. If you can throw in 25K today and get 5K leads tomorrow, obviously you can launch. If everything else is ready, obviously you can launch by the end of the week, right? So I've seen different campaigns with different budgets, some with 0 budgets and with like super interesting products. Everybody that saw them were like, whoa, sign me up. I don't even understand it, but just sign me up. This looks ridiculously amazing, right?
I want to add something, if I may just interject.
Yeah.
Yeah, and what you've just mentioned is so important, getting that validation of the idea well in advance, so that you're confident that people already want it before you start putting all of the wheels into motion. And in marketing, they say that it's a mess to guess, but a lot of people in marketing do a lot of guesswork, and I'm not above it myself. When I'm creating advertisements, before, like last year, I started doing some Facebook ads for a new product, and I didn't know exactly if the targeting was how they would respond to the offer, for example. And so I have discovered some ways that I can get that validation, and I know that the idea is the best. Like for example, when I had my blog, Open World Magazine, I was publishing every week new content, and I can see which content was getting the most responses. So I published an article about like sleep hacks, for example, and I thought, wow, this post just blew up all of a sudden. And so I wrote a whole book about sleep hacking, and that was my most commercially successful book launch that I've done. I've published probably 10, 11 books, but that was the most commercially successful because a lot of people were engaging with that. It was getting a lot of traffic. And so just from putting feelers out there, putting out content, I've had other content like of travel hacks that did really well. And I thought, wow, I can really build something on this. And I do actually have a hack that I use for Facebook ads. And this is kind of how I figured out what works with Facebook ads. I have a software that will post in a lot of groups on Facebook, like 300 different groups or something. And it's called Sue Social, if you want to check that out. And what I realized was that when I posted in the different groups, like some of the groups were really engaged and they really interacted with these posts. And so I posted like a giveaway of like AI tools, for example. And there's this group like SaaS Marketer where I got like 100+ comments. And so that really helped me to understand like who I wanted to target with this offer, for example. So finding that product market fit, and also putting out these ideas to wide communities, if you don't have a good network of like people that are interested in this kind of stuff, you can go onto Reddit and see what people think about your idea. So like I've started doing co-livings, for example, and I would go onto Reddit, like Digital Nomad Reddit, and say like, who'd be interested in coming to this thing in Nepal if we set up a co-living in Nepal? And I got like 400 comments on that post. So I knew that I had something that, people were responsive to. But the point that I'm trying to make is that most people don't actually know. They just want to guess. Like these are probably the people that would be interested in this. They probably live in like Cincinnati. Maybe they're like 45 and up. But they haven't actually gotten the voice back from the market. They haven't got enough voices saying like, dude, you got to launch this, right?
Yeah. Look, I have 3 examples. Maybe I can just quickly go through them. Maybe let me just share the screen.
Okay.
Just so not to be so abstract, because we've been just discussing.
Yeah, and I actually wanted to ask you like some examples from some of your successful campaigns or the most successful campaigns you've launched as well. So if these are a couple of those, that would be great.
They're not, but they kind of relate to what we've been talking about.
Okay.
But
Yeah, let's share
yeah.
screen.
Yeah, I'll just
Okay.
can you see the screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Okay, so yeah, this is let me these are 4 like campaigns I kind of cherry picked to give you an idea of what is going on. So this is a bird body. It's like the most successful Slovenian campaign that launched you know, during the Corona, and it's like a birdhouse with like AI enabled camera that sends you notifications on your phone and everything. So once they launched, they obviously didn't have a lot of money. They raised yeah, as you can see, 4 million euros. And yeah, once they launched, they got so much traction that during the campaign, you know, they had to go and raise venture capital just to keep on, you know, advertising, because their ROAS was, I think at the beginning it was like over 10. I'm not sure, I don't remember the exact numbers now, but later in the campaign it was around 6. And ROAS basically means the return on ad spend. So for every euro that you put in the ads, that you get like 6 back or 10 back or whatever. So just give me a second, please.
So how did they validate this idea or know that it was a winner beforehand?
They didn't. They started. We were working with them in our community, and basically, yeah, they pre-launched. As I started talking before, you know, they started gathering emails. You know, they got initial traction. I think they got about 5,000 emails, and yeah, a lot of them started converting. And once they launched the campaign, you know, they just kept on advertising it, and since they advertised it, you know, people were just converting at super high rates. So once they figured that out, you know, they ran out of their own money. I think they put in like 20K of their own money, you know, and it was just gone. But they received a bunch of money on Kickstarter. But the problem, that's one of the problems with crowdfunding and Kickstarter. If you would be doing that on your own platform, you could obviously re-spend all this money that you already earned. But on Kickstarter, you only get it after the campaign is done. So obviously they ran out of the money, but there was still so much potential. So what they did, they went to get some venture capital, and they got it, and they could continue with. But again, you know, they only could get this money because they came back with the numbers, and they were like, look, we threw in 20K, and now we have 200K on Kickstarter, you know.
So quick question, and this is where your expertise would come in on Kickstarter in particular. Is there any advantage in launching like a smaller crowdfunding campaign, like let's say like $5,000, you're by yourself, it's brand new, confirming the idea, and then, you know, maybe doing like a bigger one a few months down the line with like all the bells and whistles and such, you know, where you have a more complete product built out, let's say.
Yeah.
Because I mean, all of us entrepreneurs, we start out with like the minimal viable product. You know, it's the seed of the idea. So let's say like you do a small campaign just to get your feet wet, and you decide like if you want to do another crowdfunding campaign. Like I've actually worked with a client to do crowdfunding, and she actually did like 2 different crowdfunding campaigns. And the second time we raised like $500,000. The first time it was like smaller, like 30,000, I think.
Yeah.
Do you see is that like a good approach, or what's your thoughts there?
No, I wouldn't launch a campaign just to launch then the same one later on. Though I can show you one other example. I only have these three, but I will show you one more, which is basically that, and also what I talked about before. Once you launch a campaign, you already build a community. And as you remember, on the list of those channels, the community was on top, and it's super important. So I will.
By the way, let me ask you another question there before you show the other example. You mentioned the community. So let's say like you've built a list of 5,000 emails specifically for the crowdfunding campaign. What are you doing after the crowdfunding campaign? Let's say it's a successful, you launch your product. What are you doing with that list afterwards?
Which one? Like, the crowdfunding, the backers, or the original that you've built, and probably not all of them are backers?
Well, let's say both, because I mean, you put all the work into building that list, right?
Sure.
So those could be like your lifetime customers, right?
Yeah. Okay. Let me get back to it. I just want to go through the two examples just quickly. So yeah, this one is one of the examples where they obviously got a bunch of traction. They knew how to capitalize on it. They went to get some money and just really made like an impressive campaign, you know. Like this is one that, you know, I don't know if you know Brandon Sanderson. You probably do. This is the most successful Kickstarter campaign, but he's a writer. He already had like a huge community. So when he went to Kickstarter, he only just pushed it to his community, and now this is like, look, it's like almost 200,000 backers, which is insane. Everything over like 1,000 backers or 5,000 backers, it's mind-blowing, and he got like 200,000 backers. So that's the power of the existing community, you know, that he already had. And one of the like obvious flops now that obviously was a super successful campaign, you know, they got like 13 million raised, is Coolest Cooler, which obviously then as a product, you know, they weren't able to deliver it. But you know, if you check this, they created two campaigns, and this is kind of related to what you asked me before. And the first campaign was unsuccessful. It was Coolest Cooler again, but it wasn't successful. They raised, I don't know, yeah, they raised, yeah, just barely below their goal, right?
So they didn't get any of that money.
No. The first campaign, you know, the second campaign was actually for the time being, it was the most successful Kickstarter campaign. I still think it's like,
the first one was all or nothing, right? So they didn't hit the goal.
Yeah, that's how Kickstarter works. It's always all or nothing. If you don't hit the goal,
oh,
you don't
okay, yeah. Indiegogo is like
Indiegogo, yeah. Indiegogo, you have options, yeah. But on Kickstarter, no. So
imagine getting so close. Yeah, but then they did even better the second time, though.
Look, man, it's like that's 20 times better, right? So yeah, what I wanted to say is, first, a couple of things, right? Don't be discouraged if your campaign fails. And the other thing is, they already had like 300 backers. So these are 300 people that wanted this stuff. So once they relaunched another campaign, obviously these 300 backers, you know, not all of them probably, but majority of them, they backed again the product. And, you know, you already have this ball rolling faster because all of them will back sooner at the beginning of the next campaign. So there's a bunch of things that are important. And what I wanted to say is, yeah, not launching a campaign just for the campaign's sake, like a smaller one and then build a bigger one. I wouldn't do that unless you have two separate products, you know, like a simpler product, you launch that one first, and then let's say 6 months later, you launch another campaign. And yeah, that would make sense. And there's, let me search. Yeah.
Can I ask you a question? And this, maybe a few people are thinking this as well. In that failed campaign, you know, 94,000 out of 115,000. How much did they spend to like execute that campaign? You know, because they're obviously out of pocket, right? They spent a loss for the advertising, the marketing.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I wasn't a part of that.
I'm sure a lot of people are wondering, like, out of like the funds raised, how much of it is actually profit, how much do they actually spend to, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
obviously it sounds great when you say 13 million, but even just to get to this point, like they must have burnt through a lot of cash the first time, and then to do it the second time again, you know, you might have been in the red for a little bit there, right?
Yeah, I mean, I would say on average, Kickstarter campaigns, it depends on the complexity of the product. So if the product is super complex, then obviously you want that money for the production of the real product, you know. So depends what you consider profit. If you consider profit after you deliver all the rewards, you know, I would say that most campaigns are yeah, a bit in the red, you know. They either break even or they're in the red. So Kickstarter as a business model, it's not a good option. It's a great option for building a community, because you can launch another and another and another campaign, and it's going to be just easier to get more and more people. And obviously all those people you get their contacts, you can upsell them, cross-sell them different products that you have, if you have multiple products. But for a business model, if you would want to use a Kickstarter, then I would suggest like a super simple product, like the guy I mentioned before that launches a huge print every month. That might work out, because then maybe you get like, I don't know, 10K each month on your Kickstarter. A lot of them are recurring buyers, so you don't need to spend much to acquire them. And the product is cheap, so you might have like, I don't know, let's say 20-30% margin. So let's say 3K you pocket every month. So it might work in those kind of projects, but in these big projects where you only have like a prototype, because you don't want to spend too much money on the real product, and then you have to build the real product, work with the factories and everything. Yeah, if you're lucky, you're gonna break even.
Okay, it's very interesting to me because I'm like a totally different type of entrepreneur, that I don't sell physical products, and I've always bootstrapped my businesses. And so there's some distinct differences there, because one, I'm spending my own money. I'm spending my savings that I've made over the last 15 years on these marketing campaigns. And two, any products that I sell is pretty much 100% profit, because it doesn't cost me anything to produce it. To ship it, it might be digital, or it might just be leveraging my own skill set, whether it's coaching or at the very least, I do these like retreats, these like masterminds, where we have the rooms and stuff, but I have it worked out with the landlord, so it doesn't cost me anything. So it's very interesting to me, and this is something that's like totally different. Like, it's not my field of like selling physical products and this type of stuff. So even though I haven't launched any campaigns that have like 40 million or something like this, everything that I make is profit. So it's a bit of a different pathway. And I do feel like a lot of people that are watching this, maybe they are just solopreneurs, and they have something simple that they want to launch. Maybe they'll keep their costs down, and it's just helping them to get that first start to creating a successful business in the long term. And so I actually I sent this. Can I share my screen with you? So
sure.
I did notice some commonalities here, because I sent this checklist to a friend, and I want to turn on my screen sharing. Let's go to my window.
Maybe while you're searching for it, there's a bunch of even Slovenian companies that are now big. They have like, I don't know, let's say 100 employees or 50 employees or whatever. Okay, they're not big in grand scheme, but they're quite successful. That started on Kickstarter. Because once you get the validation that people obviously want your product, it's much easier to take the risk now. So crowdfunding is good for de-risking stuff. So if you're not sure that this physical thing that you're trying to build, and it might cost you, I don't know, 20K just to build, right, will make it on the market, you can validate it beforehand. And if you reach your goal And if people, grab it and start and want to have it, it makes sense to make a business around it. And then you can grow that business, obviously, however you want. So it's not, at the end of the day, after you finish your crowdfunding campaign, it's just the beginning of the business side. So.
Exactly. Yeah, and there's so much we can talk about this based on your experience, my experience. I don't want to get too sidetracked, but you see my screen, right?
Yep.
So, I've published over the last decade or so, I published a number of books on Amazon. And one of the reasons why, like, I use this platform, so you can see I did a lot of language books because I love to travel. You see my Hack Sleep book over here, my Dr. Growth book. But one thing that I noticed was that when I'm selling books on Amazon, in particular, I'm a bit limited in what I'm able to do, right? Because I'm selling books for like $4.99. I'm selling only one type of product, and I'm only getting a specific royalty per sale. And it's all through Amazon's platform. But what I realized was that if I go to one of these sites like Publishizer, for example, right? So Publishizer, a lot of people don't know about this. A lot of authors don't know about this. It's actually a crowdfunding platform for books in particular. And so you can see like this one, for example. So the value here for me was that I could make a lot of money before I even went onto Amazon, just by selling different types of products and price points and different reward levels. So I've done a few Publishizer campaigns, and you can see over here on the right, like you can see different types of packages that you can sell. So it's still a book launch, but you're able to build out a whole product line of products, right? So if you look at this guy, for example, he's selling a lot of these high ticket consulting packages. So the book is basically the star of this campaign, but a lot of people in his network will probably want to, get more than just the book. And so they have the opportunity to spend more. And so that's really one of the big value here, the value add is we're talking about building a business, right? If you're launching a book, you're selling a book on Amazon for $7.99, $9.99. But if you're doing like a crowdfunding campaign or a Publishizer campaign, you have the opportunity to sell different types of packages, consulting, coaching. And if you're looking at this as like the start of building a business, you want to have different types of products to sell to the same customer base. And it's the same with Kickstarter too, like or e-commerce. You want to find new products to sell to your existing base of customers. And if you're building this list of 5,000 emails, or let's say something small, because not everyone's going to get like 40 million backers for their Kickstarter campaign. Let's say you had like 700 backers, right? These are like your 1,000 true fans. And so if you want to build a successful business from the launch, you find new products to offer them. You find ways to reward loyalty, maybe a monthly subscription plan where they're buying products. The business model, the razor and blades model. Have you heard of that before? So they buy the blade, and then they always have to buy razors to replace the razors for the shaving. So they're buying new products every month, and that's really the key to building a successful business over 4 years, 5 years from the crowdfunding campaign. And so that's one thing that I noticed is that like I can make good money on Amazon during the launches, but I can only sell one price point. I can only sell one type of product. This is the very first book that I launched back in, I want to say like 2015 or something. Buy Your Own Island. It was all about, lifestyle design and kind of like the 4-hour work week, Tim Ferriss type of stuff. And, it's selling for $7.72 on Amazon Kindle. But if I had gone back again, I would have done a crowdfunding campaign because there's so many other things that I could sell. I could also get the contact information of all the customers, build a list because the money is in the list. And what I actually wanted to show was just this e-commerce checklist that I actually emailed to a friend like last week because she's just starting her own tea business where she's importing teas from China. And I kind of just like gave her some of the most important points to remember because she's selling them in Russia. She's selling them through this platform called Yandex. And the advantage of selling through these big platforms like Amazon, Amazon Kindle, Yandex, is that you reach a lot of people, but they still own those customers. And so as I told her, like as much as you can, you should try to be able to sell directly to the consumers and try to get their contact information, taking them from the platform like Amazon, Kindle, Kickstarter, whatever it is, these big platforms, AppSumo, getting all of their contact information, getting their email addresses, getting the contact information, creating a database so that you can continue to communicate with them for months and years on end. So I give you an example. When AppSumo first contacted me, if you don't know appsumo.com, they have this huge platform. They have like 1 million entrepreneurs on their email list, and you can promote your products on there. And I've made a lot of money promoting my stuff on Amazon, my digital products, my information products. But initially, they just contacted me to feature my book, which was Dr. Growth on there. And I was not getting any of the email addresses from any of these people. So this got downloaded like 25,000 times for free. But they were like, oh, we got pushback from people in the past, you know, if we send them a landing page. And oh my God, it was the biggest missed opportunity, Ziga. So I would not do that again. But you got to remember that if you're launching, you need to try to find a way to get as many of the email addresses, contact information, even if you're launching on AppSumo, Amazon, to get as much contact information. Because if I had gotten the 25,000 emails from that book that was being, you know, launched on AppSumo, and let me go to the partner portal because I can show you the actual stats here. If I go down and I have all of my products on here that I've launched through AppSumo. So I have my courses and things, some different books and things that I've launched. So this is when they did the paid book. So that got 300 sales for that book. Some of my courses and things here, so you can see the sales. But if I go down to just that freebie that was down here, I think it's at the bottom. Yeah, so close to 20,000 downloads just from that free campaign. So if I had gotten the 20,000 email addresses for free from AppSumo, that would have made a huge difference for me. And I think I launched this back in like 2022, 2021. Oh my God, Ziga, can you imagine if I had that? And when I launched all my courses, I would have made a big difference. And so I think that's one of the most important things when you first initially go onto these platforms, like Amazon, AppSumo, Kickstarter, whatever it is, getting as much contact information as possible. And then I kind of just like gave her some, you know, other tips here for building a long-term successful business. Remembering that brands stay, and the long term of your success depends on offering different types of products and higher price products to the existing customer base, rewarding loyalty, finding ways to turn your customers from satisfied to enthusiastic, and turning them into customers for life, you know, like long-term recurring customers. And so this is one of the biggest, and I'm okay sharing my failures here because this is one of the biggest missed opportunities here, was all of these people were downloading this book directly through AppSumo. Oh, Ziga, can you mute, excuse me, mute your mic? So all of these people were downloading my book directly through AppSumo, and I was not getting anything from this. So this was one of the biggest missed opportunities for me. But what I would have done in hindsight is I would have sent them all to my website, which is schoolofgrowthhacking.com. And what I could have done is I could have just sent them to one of the products on my website. And if you have your own website, one of the advantages is that you're able to actually get all the contact information, even if it's a free product. So they don't actually have to opt in or anything, but anyone that purchases even one of the freebies on my website. So this is a WordPress website. And if you go under ebooks, I actually have a lot of free ebooks. So I can just promote these free ebooks, but when they check out, I get all of their information. So a lot of these are being sold or for sale. So I'm actually logged in. You can actually see they're all free right now because I have a membership, so I get everything for free. If you create a membership on the website, you can get a lot of this stuff for free as well. But even if I was giving away my Dr. Growth book and they were getting it for free, they check out, they go to add to cart, they still have to put in their information. And so if I were to go back and do another free book promotion with a platform like AppSumo, instead of having them download that PDF directly from AppSumo, I would just have them download the PDF this way, and then they can go to the cart and get it for free. So just one little thing, you know, just where they download the product could have made a big difference in my business. Now, I'm not sweating it too much. I've made a lot of mistakes in my career. I'm still going. I'm still plugging away, but that was a big missed opportunity for me. And if you're watching this, I would definitely recommend, find the ways, like we've said, to get all of the information from these people. And I've talked about some ways to do this, a lot of ways in the course. If you go get the full course, you can see everything. So in your book, for example, like books are a great way to get a lot of people introduced to your work. And I've done this for some of my clients to get them to be like the expert in their field. After the title page of the book, and you can't see it in this preview for some reason, you can actually include an offer where they can get more from you, and then you can collect their email addresses, even if they're coming from AppSumo. And so I have a ton of growth hacks in the course, a ton of growth hacks when it comes to books or information products. If you're curious, we can give you a coupon code. We'll include that in the description of this masterclass, this webinar that we're putting together here. And I hope that you've gotten a lot of value from this, just this free webinar that we're recording here. And Ziga, I know you've been muted for a little bit there. Anything that you wanted to add?
Yeah, no, I fully agree. I mean, on Kickstarter, usually you can get all the information down because obviously you need to send the reward somewhere. So that's not a problem. But I had a similar experience with Udemy, where I have a bunch of my own courses, and I also have about, I don't know, 15,000 students there whose emails and contact information I don't own and can't get. So yeah, I can fully relate. I don't think these are the mistakes. I think these are trade-offs. Some platforms allow you to grow super fast with little investment, but they usually keep the clients or their information on their site, and you cannot access them. Other things like your own website, you'll have to bring all the traffic, you'll have to do all the works, but at the end of the day, you'll get all the contacts and everything. So there's always a trade-off between sort of like simplicity and speed versus what you're getting out of it. But yeah, I mean, it's good.
I will say that I mean, you're talking about Udemy, right? So I'm not as familiar with Udemy because I do have one course in there, but I don't do much with it. But if I'm speaking about Amazon in particular, Amazon does have all of the billing details. They keep that private, so you don't get the information of the customers. However, you can use the books, like I said, and you can include offers like after the title page of the book to download like the audiobook, for example. Or and I can show you if I share my screen again. I actually sold a lot of paid products by giving away free books. And so this was a marketing strategy that I didn't have to spend any money on. I'll just share my screen again. But one of my books was this book called Hack Upwork, and it was all about freelancing online. And in that book, I had an offer after the title page where I was selling this this package here, this elite. It was actually something different. I had another product on here. I think it was like elite freelancer product. Okay, I don't have it. Yeah, so maybe it was this one. And I had a few different ways that I was selling this freelancer package. And one of them was just promoting it through my Hack Upwork book. So we're talking about getting like, close to 10,000 downloads of this ebook, during the first month of the launch. And I had an offer where I said, like, this is just the beginning. If you want to take your freelancing career to the next level, go download this package where I have like swipe files, 36, I have contracts, done for you templates, standard operating procedures, like how to communicate with your clients, manage consultations, how to close them. And so I was getting a lot of sales, just in the initial weeks of my book launch for the higher price product. And just by putting a link in the book along with a coupon code. And so that was a very effective marketing strategy where I think I got maybe like close to 100 sales of this higher price product just from the free downloads I was getting off of Amazon. And this is just on Gumroad. So this is very easy. If you have digital products, you can upload it here. And one nice thing is that it just works. You have no technical issues like you might encounter with a website. So everything is working, and you can start selling your digital products or information products. And so these are just like companion things that you can include either in the front end of your funnel or later on in your funnel. So I'll show you just an example of an ad I have running here. If I go to my Facebook, and hopefully I can find this because I often have trouble finding my ads. Let me see. And basically what it is just like this AI tools spreadsheet that I'm giving away. So sometimes I can see people that have interacted with my advertisement. And I think I sent it. Hold on. Let me stop sharing my screen for a second. I'll pull that up here. Give me a second here. And so what I'm saying is that you can actually use these like digital products to upsell people, like consulting, or you give away something that doesn't cost you anything to produce it. And so I do have that ad pulled up here. So let me share that again. And here's the advertisement. So you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
So this is just a front end offer, and it's basically just a digital product, which is just a spreadsheet of close to 500 AI tools and resources. And so that's the initial offer. And so this is converting a lot of leads for me, very effectively, and didn't really cost me. It's basically something I found online, and it's getting a lot of really inexpensive leads. And so once they get into the funnel, the secondary promise is that I will help you to 10x your productivity and profit potential in 30 days. And so that's where the follow-up comes in. So initially they just want that, and I say, hey, I hope you enjoy this. By the way, here's how I can help you get even more value. And then that prepares them for joining the course, getting coaching from me, and everything else I'm going to sell on funnel. So basically what I'm saying is that you want to think about how you have like your low ticket offers, what you can give away for free to get people giving you their email address, and then how you can upsell them through a middle price product, and then how you can go to like Publishizer, for example. We saw this guy is selling consulting packages for $7,500. And so, if you don't know how to do all this stuff, you can copy and paste everything into ChatGPT and say like, hey, can you help me build out some different price products? And so even with like physical products, so for example, my friend is selling teas, right? So I kind of popped her information into ChatGPT, and I thought, what are some different ideas for some different types of products that you can sell here? And so one was like a tea subscription box service. So like like subscription model to build customer loyalty, tea tasting events, maybe like a surprise tea subscription box, where they get a different type of tea every month. And so these are just some different ways, like where she's selling these teas and maybe making only like $5 per sale on this platform, after expenses, to actually getting, selling directly to the consumers, getting them to buy every single month, and doing tea tasting events where you get more people into the funnel, engaging local communities and potential customers, and personalized experience that sets apart, and to create new customers. And so, just different ideas where it's not just about the initial product that you're selling at that one price point, but finding ways to build a brand and get your customers buying all types of different stuff from you. Okay, so that's all I got.
Yeah. It makes sense. Obviously, at some platforms it's harder to get a contact, and you then have to kind of find different ways around it, by offering like extra candy or extra that they can only get on your website after they leave the email. So yeah, I mean, we kind of started with the email, and it's super important to get it, because it's once you have it, it's so much easier to send, push, sell any product that you might create in the future. So
Yeah, you got to get the contact information, and I do have a lot to say about this, because Keith Ferrazzi, he says he wrote the book Never Eat Alone, And he has like this rule of three where he says that you also want to communicate with people through three different forms of media to deepen that relationship. So you not only want to get the email addresses, but you also want to get them seeing your face, maybe subscribing to your YouTube so they get to know you better, maybe like following your Instagram so they can see your lifestyle posts and stuff. So don't only stop there, build that brand out and focus on building a long-term successful company using your launch as the starting point to build that relationship. And I will add, one other interesting anecdote because since we're talking about email addresses, I did do like some grassroots campaigns back in like 2012 for President Obama, actually, where they drove us out to Las Vegas. And I was reading, like they gave us a script to read to people. We were knocking on doors in Nevada. And I had people like closing the door on me, Ziga. Because I had the kind of boring script. It was like, I'm here on behalf of Organizing for America. And I basically started to change the script. I was like, I'm here on behalf of the president. I need to talk to you for a minute. Do you have a minute of time? So like, I got their attention, right? I was here, like President Obama sent me to your house. And sometimes they're like, I want to go back to my TV show. And the guy's like, like he's slowly starting to close the door. And I told him, well, all right, the president is coming here next week and you can get free tickets for the event. I just need to get your email address. And so it's like, all right, I can do that. And so that was an interesting enough offer where I could just, take out the entire script and say like, who wants tickets to see, President Obama? Like that's a no-brainer offer. And so that's what you kind of want to figure out how to do if you want to really be successful at marketing, is how to create these no-brainer offers. And I often tell my clients that it's kind of like, imagine you're talking to somebody at 3 a.m. or something, you're knocking on their door. Is your offer good enough that they're going to want to jump on it right away? Or are they going to say like, get out of here, I got to go back to sleep, I got a meeting in the morning. And so most offers are not really good enough to pass this test. But if I were to wake you up and like I call you on the phone at 3 a.m, Ziga, I found flights to Japan. It's only like $50, it's an error fare, but we have like 30 minutes to jump on this because it's going to go away. Like, all right, send me the website. Let's sign up. Let's go. Right? Because that's an offer that is good enough that you're going to want to grab it right away. And so you want to try to get good at engineering these no-brainer offers. And that's a big part of validating your ideas and being successful at getting sales.
Yeah, I mean, I think sorry, it's getting a bit rowdy around here. Yeah, offer, I think, yeah, if you got something good, then you always need to support it with a great offer. The same goes with crowdfunding, the rewards, how you price them, how you structure them. And today we didn't even touch the strategy about the rewards, and there's a bunch. And the same goes for everything else as well. You don't need to be the cheapest. You just need to be, you just need to have the best offer. And the best offer, usually people think it's the cheapest, but it doesn't necessarily mean that.
What have been the most successful rewards that you have offered and for your clients?
I mean, throughout the years, I've found out like this structure where you structure the rewards in a certain way, and this works best. So not like a specific reward. Usually what you want to do on crowdfunding, on Kickstarter, is to offer the main reward as soon as possible. Because let's say you're making like, phone covers, and you don't want to talk about, oh, I'm going to give you a t-shirt for $20 and then you can get a phone cover for like, I don't know, 50 because it's super special. You want to immediately talk about that. You don't want to distract them with all these other products or whatever you have. So how you do that is then you kind of psychologically manipulate them, to feel under pressure, because even the crowdfunding campaign itself is time limited. It's what I said before, like between 45 days and 2 months. And the longer the period, the less pressure people feel. Oh, it's 2 months at the beginning of the campaign. it's 2 months, I'll come back. They never do. So you want to have a shortest time possible, so to have this time pressure. But if the campaign is 10 days long, then you probably won't reach everybody. So it has to be like sort of a sweet spot. That's time pressure. The other one is obviously, other ways of pressure, and you got like these early bird rewards, which are usually quantity limited. So you got like, I'm only gonna sell 100 pieces for this price, and then the price will increase, right? So now, even if people come to your crowdfunding campaign and they say, okay, it's 2 months, but there's only 10 rewards left in this like early bird tier. Now, if I come back in a week, they'll probably be gone. So I want to get it by the lowest price possible, and you motivate them to do that. So then you have this like a way where you can structure, and I usually use like three rewards for that. Like the first one is super early bird, like ridiculous price, but super limited. Let's say 10 pieces for like, I don't know, let's say 40% of the price, or 30%. You're basically, losing money on those. But it's super enticing. Everybody sees it and go like, yeah, I want to have this for this price. Then the next reward is early bird, which is, let's say, 30% off. And then you have your main reward. I'm just pulling the percentages out of my head. Obviously, you need to calculate something that makes sense for you. So once the super early birds are gone, now when a person comes to your website, they see an early bird and they see the full reward. And let's say there's only 5 more early birds left. So they already missed the super early bird, right? They don't want to miss the early bird as well, because then, the price will be full price, right? So now you kind of pressure them into backing the project whenever that happens. I've been on the receiving end as well. It's not like I'm immune to it, and I know it. But there's a tiny trick that you can do on Kickstarter that not a lot of people know, is that you can always increase the number of early birds. So once those 5, okay, let's say you had 100 and now you've sold 95 and you only have 5 more, and you can go and just increase it, but let's say 5. So now you have 105. And then in 3 days, when those almost ran out, you only have like 2 rewards left, you increase it again and again and again. So basically what you're doing is selling just the early birds. You don't care about the regular price. The regular price is just the anchor. People don't want to pay that. They want to pay a bit less, right? And they will pay immediately for the early bird. They're not going to wait 1 week or by the end of the campaign, because they will be gone. They're convinced that they will be gone because it's just 3 more. And they already missed the first one, which was super amazing. So that's one of the tactics that proved to
using
be
limited quantities.
Exactly. But increasing them, increasing them slowly, so they feel like they're the last person to get it by this price. And it's this
I
has
noticed
worked.
that when I also on AppSumo, AppSumo does this very well, where they have like 3 days left on the deal or something like this.
Yeah.
And I noticed that just when I launched my products on AppSumo, I probably have more than probably a dozen or so. Anytime that there was a countdown timer on the product, like I got a huge boost in sales. Like it was crazy. Just that sense of urgency. And also, I know and I do talk about AppSumo a lot in the Launch Lab course, but in particular on AppSumo, and this is just a website, kind of like Kickstarter. If you look at their website, I'm not sharing my screen with you again. Let me share my screen with you. Because we can kind of architect how these websites work and their algorithms. So let me know when you see. So what those countdown timers also did was they helped me to get onto the homepage as well. And so I think that not only helped me to convert a lot more, but also got a lot more viewers, because you see like this ending soon here, where it says offer ends in 2 days. These products are getting a huge spike in traffic and sales because of these countdown timers. And then also, if you can find ways to get into sections like this, like what's hot, where I assume that these products are sending a lot of traffic to their pages, because AppSumo will not do that initially for you, just like Kickstarter won't. But I assume the formula is pretty much the same if you go to Kickstarter and you see like what's hot. I assume that it has a lot to do with these people sending a lot of traffic within the first week or so and getting a lot of traction to get onto the homepage and also in the newsletter, right?
Yeah. Like I said, there's the time factor. Every Kickstarter campaign ends eventually. So, the last few days, you get a bunch of backers, and then you can do some extra things with, limited awards. And I mean, with every platform, you're kind of tied to what they offer. So that's about it on Kickstarter. If you're doing, or if you're creating your own landing page, then obviously you can do whatever you want. So, yeah.
I will say that, so in the course, I talked about the timeline for Amazon launches and Kindle launches, and there's a specific formula for like what you need to do the first week or so, the first 2 weeks, what the price has to be, how many reviews you need to get. And also with AppSumo, they do have a very specific formula. And it might be this way with Kickstarter as well, but I know with AppSumo, it all depends on how many reviews you have for your product. So if you have like 20 reviews, 25 reviews, we'll put you in their newsletter, for example. If you have 20 reviews, they'll put you on their social media page. And so if you want to get a lot of sales, it comes down specifically to how many reviews you're able to get and the rating. And so for me, I love that because it was very linear. I had some specific goal to shoot for, and it was quite easy for me to, at a low price point, get all of my friends to sign up, write reviews, increase the price, and then get into the newsletter, get onto the home page, and that's when you start getting a lot of sales, and basically getting sales every day, right? With nothing wrong with that. And you didn't actually, so AppSumo, you can put a timer, and then it's not the end of the deal, but it just increases the price, right? So it'll say ends in 2 days, and then the price goes up $10. You do another timer, it goes up another $10 and stuff, and you can keep getting sales. So that's what I liked, is that you figure out how the platform works. That's when you're able to start getting a lot of sales. And you did give me another idea as I was listening to you and we were talking about rewards. I think a lot of people will also guess when it comes to rewards. Like they don't know if the reward is going to do well or not. But what you could actually do before you launch your crowdfund or whatever it is you can validate the rewards themselves as well, right? So like let's go back and let's look at this guy, for example. And let's say like he posts on some Facebook groups, like he has a Facebook group or a group that he's a member of, and he says like, hey guys, I'm thinking of doing this, 5 full coaching days, 5 Zoom meetings, blah, 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 blah. If I were to organize something like this, would you guys be interested? Would you want something like this? Like demonstrate the benefit. And then so what you could actually do is if you like using ChatGPT to come up with all of your rewards, for example, you can say like, hey guys, if I were to do something like this, would you guys be interested? And so that's a way that you could actually validate your rewards in the months before you actually do the launch, right? And I do know like a lot of coaches, a lot of consultants who do this really well. Like there is this guy I'm connected to on Facebook, and he's like a TikTok consultant. You still see my screen, right? I guess you muted your mic.
Yeah.
But what this guy does is he's always creating like these helpful resources and tools for TikTok, and he's getting a lot of leads just from Facebook. So he's built this tool that like auto downloads videos from a TikTok profile, and then he gets a lot of people that just say yes please and stuff. So he's really like a master at putting these offers out for these downloads and these free things, which will like audit TikTok or something that's useful for TikTok. So like, and he'll offer people like a sneak peek or a free download, and he'll get a lot of comments on these just social media posts. So like 116 comments. So he's getting all these leads for free all the time. And it's just like, the best performing TikTok ads, like the best performing TikTok headlines, the best performing TikTok viral posts and so forth. And so I'll often see people like this who are creating these ads, whether it's on their profile, they're creating these posts that are getting a lot of traction, or in a Facebook group where they're getting like 400 comments and getting all of these free leads. So let's just look at that. And so the lesson here that I want to basically share with people watching this, if you can find like these posts, like basically you have a template here of something that is already validated. And so you can use a template like this and then substitute it for whatever it is your industry is or your field, and create something similar that's basically just like a free product. It doesn't cost anything to produce it. And you can also do this with your rewards. Like if you have like a low ticket reward or high ticket reward, you could say like, hey, this is my idea, this is the reward, would you want this? And then you can see a lot of people are interested in this. And that's just a really easy way to validate your ideas for free using Facebook. If you don't have a lot of 5,000 friends on Facebook, there's a lot of groups that you can go to. So for example, I'm in this group SaaS Marketer, and you've seen my advertisement that's converting really well on my Facebook ad. But before I did that ad, I was doing a lot of organic posts. Sorry for the picture there with the shirtless picture. But you can see like this is an example of one of those posts where it says, I put together a spreadsheet, who wants a copy? And this is that post in the group. So I didn't post this in my profile. I just posted it in another group. And I got a lot of leads just from that free organic post. So the lesson, again, we're going back to this idea of idea validation. You can take a lot of your rewards that you have, and if you want to do like high ticket rewards and low ticket rewards, so maybe like $20, $10, what you can do is you just get that validation of your rewards, and not just the product itself, but seeing like how much interest there is. And that's how with like 90% certainty that what you're putting out into the world is going to be well received. So you eliminate that insecurity. You step into your campaign with a high degree of confidence. You see that Ziga and I here, we're making sure that what we're going to launch is going to be well received. We have like 90% success rate in the first place by hearing the voice of our customers, seeing the voice of what the market is talking about, what they actually want, before we invest a lot of time and money into these launches. So we've almost kind of like given a full masterclass just in this recording, would you say?
Yeah, I hope people got some value out of it.
How long have you been a marketer, Ziga?
10 years.
10 years, okay. So you put in your 20,000 hours, would you say?
Yeah, probably at the beginning even more. Before that, I was a product guy. I built products. Like I said, I built websites and things. So I do also have some technical knowledge, and I kind of pair it with marketing. So like a really specific skill set.
So you've been at this for a while, it's safe to say. And between us, I think we probably have around like 30 years of experience here, because I started, both my parents are entrepreneurs. So they got me like hustling from like 8 years old, 9 years old, where my mother was a realtor, and she's like, go around in the driveways and put this notepad on people's doorstep, which has like all of our contact information. Like, you want to sell your home, talk to Tony, here's the details, and it's got the notepad. So it's something we're giving away for free that's actually useful for people, like to write down their groceries and stuff like this. So it's not easy to put 30 years of combined marketing experience into an hour and a half presentation. I'm sure that we can go on for 10 hours just kind of talking about these different topics and sharing case studies and stories. But I've been having a lot of fun. I hope that you've also had fun, and everyone watching this has enjoyed it and taken some notes as well. Again, if you guys want to get more, you still see my screen, right, Ziga?
Yep.
Okay, so we do have a special offer for you if you've gotten all the way to the end. We have a discount code. You can go and get everything from Ziga and me at the schoolofgrowthhacking.com. We'll have a link to that in the description. And we have, at this time, 43 lessons on everything that you need to know. Like we've eliminated all of the guesswork on how to be wildly profitable in your launches, how to launch on Kickstarter, other crowdfunding platforms, Amazon, AppSumo, how to crowdfund information products like books, how to create viral launches, how to build your network that supports your launches, a whole bunch of growth hacking tactics, and how to really be a wildly successful marketer. I know that if you guys go and enroll in that course, we'll have a money back guarantee. If you don't like anything in there, if you don't get a ton of value, 10 times more value, just email us. We'll give you a full refund and you can keep the course. But I know that if you download that, it will give you everything that we've learned so that you can be way more profitable in your launches, because you only get one chance to get your launch right. And if you do get it right, it can make an enormous difference. You can avoid the mistakes like I've talked about, where I had a chance to get 19,000 emails from AppSumo, but didn't. You'll be able to eliminate those costly mistakes that Ziga and I have made and get on the fast track to success right away. So it's been really fun. We've kind of gone through, it's been more than almost 2 hours, I guess 2 hours now that we've been on this presentation, but there has not been a dull moment, right?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I agree. I mean, like I said at the beginning, the first time I was launching a campaign, it took me 1 year to learn everything. You can learn everything yourself. It might take you 1 year, it might take you more, it might take you less. But what Dan is talking about is that, yeah, this is just gonna speed up all the mistakes and all the know-how so much faster that I think it's worth it.
So if you go and you go to schoolofgrowthhacking.com, if you click under the marketplace and go to courses, you'll see that I'm currently logged into my membership. So if you have a full membership for the website, you actually get all of the courses for free, which is an insane value. We have a whole bunch of courses on how to growth hack your marketing, how to set up your marketing funnels, how to be paid to travel, which I've been doing for the last 14 years, how to hack time to be more efficient. We have courses on AI, affiliate marketing, lead generation, everything you need to have a more profitable business. And you can go and check out Launch Lab. It's at $97, and we have a free discount coupon for you. We'll include that in the description as our way of saying thank you for joining us on this webinar. And you can go and get more information on that, this wonderful course that Ziga and I have put together for you to help get you on the path to a 6-figure, 7-figure business by leveraging product launches. So thank you so much again, Ziga. Is there any other piece of advice that you want to give to people before we sign off here?
No, not really. I think there's going to be a bunch of gems in the course that we recorded. So I would rather leave it at it is now, but yeah.
And if anyone wants to get in touch with you, if they have any other questions or they want anything more from you, what's the best way to do that? Should we just give your contact information, or maybe they connect with you on Twitter?
I'm mostly active on either LinkedIn or on Instagram, though Instagram is more for like fun and personal stuff. But yeah, either through email or through LinkedIn, it's the best.
Okay, we'll put that contact information. We'll put everything in the description of this lesson. And yeah, thank you guys. And don't watch this video and sleep on it. I want you to think of this as a first step in your journey. So go ahead and take action. Take a look at some of the resources that Ziga and I have prepared for you. Have a look at the website. We have a whole bunch of free resources and courses on there. And I really want you to look at this as the beginning of your journey as a long-term, wildly successful and profitable entrepreneurship adventure. So thank you again for watching this all the way to the end. Really appreciate your time, and take care. And thank you, Ziga. I really appreciate it.
Danny, take care and talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
Bye.